what we're trying to do in the band is just pay as much homage as we can to the nobility of our tradition. Not discredit anybody else's if they have a tradition, but really focusing on ours and see that our tradition continues to be practiced and treated with the proper respect, with the respect that it deserves. Teaching is the most important thing if a society is to regenerate. What happens is if information is not passed on, then it just goes by the wayside until a group of informed people come and pick it up. Much like in the Dark Ages of Europe, most of the information went into the monasteries. So when the Renaissance came, it was there. People decided they were going to pursue some information. We're in a cultural dark ages now in our country. But, if we survive this, we'll come out of it and people will be interested in things of value again. What the rhythm section does is, if you look at the rhythm section like you look at a car, all right, the bass is the wheels. The drums is like the motor, and the piano is like the body. All right, so what we're going to do is we're just going to play C minor. And we're going to use those two chords, and I'll try to give you all just an understanding basically of how the jazz band works. The bass does what's called walking. So the bass will now walk C minor, and you'll see that it's like somebody strolling. Go ahead and walk. Yeah, that sounds like the Creeper or something, right? And everything sits on top of that. It's at the bottom of the harmony. That means if you take a piano, all the other horns are going to be above the bass. It's down here. All right, now what he's playing is a swing groove, which means the accent is on 2 and 4. It's like sometimes I play concerts, I see people out in the audience, Americans too, and they'll and I'll be playing and they'll be going. You know what I mean? So I look out in the audience and I see this going on. I say, damn. I start wondering if I'm in Europe or something. And now with the drum set, this is a very basic drum set, all right? What he has, it's very simple, but that's right, because he's going to play something on it. He won't be like these people who have 80,000 drums and they go So now what this is called a sock cymbal. And this is what gives it, what is this like in the engine? I don't know. It's like something. You hear it. They play the sock cymbal on 2 and 4. Just the sock cymbal. Now you see that's giving a come on, swing for it. Play it. You got it. I see that's giving the bass a little more motion, right? Now this is a ride cymbal. All right, what he's gonna do on this is what we call riding, just like in an automobile. He's just sitting on just. I want you to just play like. Well, my father was one of my teachers, of course, and I had a teacher named John Fernandez. He taught me like about love of the trumpet and love of knowledge. And I had a teacher named John Longo, who was my first actual trumpet teacher when I was 12 years old, and he taught me how to listen to the different kinds of musics and just have a respect for practicing, because he really believed in practicing, and he got me really thinking about practicing. And Kent Jordan used to make me practice also, a student that I went to school with him. And then George Jansen was my teacher, who I really loved. And he taught me a lot about just playing the trumpet and the mechanics of it. Get real soft. Play soft. And I see this like if you have the car that's going like 10 miles an hour. It's like a real pretty car, and you just profile it. You know, you're driving through the neighborhood, and you're looking around, you're like, yes. Checking out what's happening. You just got you a brand new, nice automobile. It's clean. You got a bad suit on. You got your girlfriend with you. She's fine. Saying yes. And you look at some of your friends. You say, what's happening? You're not going fast. You're going very slow because you want everybody to check it out. And that's what a good groove is like. You just want to lay in it and just profile. You don't want it to be loud. You don't want to play a bunch of wild stuff on it. You just want to look cute and play. Now what they can do, just the bass and the drums, this is the heart of the rhythm section. In any style of music. It could be pop music, funk, reggae, but now this is jazz music, so what they do is called swing. Now what they can do is they can alter rhythms that they play. They change the beat. Like, let me show you what I'm talking about. I want you to just play like pretty flowing chords, you know. Now this is one way she could play. We feel that it's our job to deal with our tradition and teach the younger musicians what it is they need to know. You know, we deal purely with the tradition and the legacy and the music, and that's our job. We study it and we know what it represents. Here's how the band is set up. The bass is in the middle, and the piano is over here, and the drums over here. Now what happens rhythmically in the rhythm section is the piano has a dialogue with the drums. That type of dialogue can go on throughout an entire song, and the rhythms can change and vary and be done in inverses and done around, and it can be a dialogue with the sock cymbal in the piano or the bass drum. It's an infinite number of things that can be done creatively with the dialogue that goes on between the piano and the drums. And then when you throw the bass in there and the bass starts throwing some rhythms and some vamps up underneath there, you can get just a small idea of the amount of creativity and the many different creative things that can take place with the jazz rhythm section. Now, there's two things y'all look for. People not swinging, smiling. People snapping their fingers on 1 and 3. People in jazz concerts while people are swinging acting like they can't hear swing. They just... I played a concert not recently. I saw one kid, I could see the whole audience from where I was playing, and all these people were like, and then this one kid, he was like 11 years old or something. He was sitting like in the second row on the left side. He was like, you check my man out. He had the whole band grooving, and then his parents saw him and said, good functional harmony. Somebody got to play that F to the B flat though. So you know the thing is that when we talk about people like Duke Ellington and Monk, I know y'all don't listen to their music that much, so their names don't mean too much. I mean, because for their names to really mean something to you, you have to know who they are. But believe me, if you become a portion of those people who are responsible for continuing that great and noble legacy, and you decide to embrace that on your horn, even if you don't become a musician, it'll be something that will enrich the rest of your life. I don't want y'all to play this. Keep playing. I want you to play. Can y'all do that? Starts on the E. Starts on the concert E. Keep doing it. B flat, D flat, E flat, B flat. All right, hold on. Now, if we were up here trying to deal with some of Beethoven's music, you would have to know, you'd have to play your part. You wouldn't have a choice. You couldn't get up and say, well, you know, I hear E flat here. Now, we're playing Duke's place. The music is designed for people who are more individual thinking. You have Duke Ellington, who's an individual, but his band also consisted of Cootie Williams, who was also an individual, and Harry Carney, and all of these people. It's like American society. Everybody has their chance to put in their 2 cents. Like the trombone section, they can harmonize that melody however they want. The only thing that's required is that it follows the rules of the music and that it sounds good, and that it's swinging, and it's played with some nuance and some blues. Thank you very, very much, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Westwood Playhouse tonight. Here's some jazz. You're listening to Marcus Roberts on the piano. On the bass, Robert Leslie Hurst III. And on the drums, you've heard about him. Here he is, Jeff Tane Watts. first thing is you want to when you play it, you don't go you want to get a full sound. Like some people riding horses or something.
Okay.
You know. You see what I'm saying? I get that feeling when you're playing. Like you have to make sure you can feel where the rhythm's at.
Okay.
Don't just stand up and play. Make sure that you. You know what I'm saying? Concentrate on rhythm.
So
Phrase.
this what was I doing on the last note?
You would just, and you play it like however you. It would be long enough, but it just would be. It wouldn't have color. Every note has got to have some kind of color in it. You can't let any note go.
Okay.
You can't just go bum 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 bing. That's what it sounds like. Like if I'm doing this with my voice, boom 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 bing. Tagadum 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 boom 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 bing. Tagadum bum 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 bing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So be cognizant of that at the end of phrases.
Okay.
All right. Breathe. You playing like this, Can you feel how you relaxed? Relax.
Okay.
See how your shoulders really are way down there. They shouldn't be up here when you're playing.
Okay.
Trying to look like Frankenstein or something. Just let the show relax. When you're not relaxed, you can't play. It's hard to play. Just relax. Relax. Go ahead.
So the part.
Are you relaxed?
What is I'm gonna be?
Relax, man. Relax. But when you're playing a concerto with an orchestra and they're all playing their part, and you standing up, you trying to not mess up. That what was on my mind was terror. Do not miss. That's all. Just I hope I can make it through to the end of this movement and I'll be cool. Believe me. That's it. And one more point, it shouldn't be like that though. It shouldn't be like that. Like that's something that classical musicians have brought onto themselves, like a certain type of paranoia and desire for perfection in reading that music. And that music wasn't meant to be played that way. You know what I mean? It's like when you listen to Louis Armstrong play, that's how all music should be played. I don't mean that style, but the type of spirit that he plays music with, like there's no fear in him when he's playing. Because he doesn't care if he messes something up because he knows that what he's getting to is so bad that doesn't make a difference. But you miss a note in classical music. Did you hear him miss that note? You know what I mean? I have like kids who play trumpet will come up to me after a gig. Heard you miss that E flat, Wynton? Yeah. You heard it. I felt it. I know I missed it. the basis of jazz is blues and swing. That's the basis of jazz music. It's not me talking. Louis Armstrong said it. Duke Ellington said it. Monk said it. Train. Ornette Coleman, his innovations are blues-based innovations. So any progression in jazz will be based on a blues and a swing or a groove innovation. What we find in the history of jazz is that each generation of jazz musicians extend, elaborate, and refine different aspects of the blues idiom, and that becomes their innovation. That's their contribution. Now, another element that we have besides the blues is called groove. We know it as swing. And every type of music has different grooves. Grooves are a signal and a sign of the vitality of a people. Now you take the term progressive jazz. That's a curious term. Right, you take the jazz of, let's pick a year. Let's say 1960. In 1960, Duke Ellington's band was playing. Coltrane just started his band. Mingus had his band. Monk had a band on the road. Horace Silver was out working. Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. The list goes on and on. Take an artist like John Coltrane. Right, now, as a jazz musician, harmonically, rhythmically, melodically, texturally, emotionally, spiritually, are we to believe that some of this music called progressive jazz is a progression on what John Coltrane was working on in 1960? What I mean is, in definite harmonic terms, innovations above John Coltrane's, rhythmically, melodically, we have definite objective criteria that we can use. And if we use them, then we find that very little has been done. If we use the work of Duke Ellington, and we don't just discuss it from a personal standpoint, like, well, I like the way this guy sounds. If we use objective criteria, it's very difficult for us to see where, except in the realm of texture, and that's because of the advent of synthesizers. So, of course, those people who use synthesizers, those instruments weren't available before, so that's a new thing. But so far as the use of, harmonic use of, the use in the context of the blues, the use in the context of swing, very little has been developed because jazz musicians and people who listen to jazz don't believe in studying past generations. Let's say if you go to study composition at a conservatory or something. Well, the first thing you're going to do is deal with 16th century vocal counterpoint. They're not going to give you a score of Bartók and say, here. Then you deal with Bach, then Haydn, then Mozart, then Beethoven, then Brahms, then Wagner, then Strauss, or so on and so on. Then Stravinsky, then Bartók, then Schoenberg, then Hindemith. Like, you go through the lineage of that music, and you are required to know something about it. You don't just say, oh, I'm Wynton Marsalis, I'm a composer of classical music. I write what I feel. But what has happened in jazz music is that there's been very little respect for information. So what ends up happening is that all a musician has to do is have a following, and he becomes innovative. Maybe he'll make some new sounds. Right? That's one form of innovation. But the heart of jazz music is blues and swing. So what you have to do to be considered an innovator in jazz music is either rhythmically innovate, like Charlie Parker did, or you have to innovate from a blues standpoint, like Coltrane did and Monk. Because this is so much of me generation and me this and I want. The thing that we all have to understand is our time too will be past. And if you don't show respect for your elders and you don't show respect for things that deserve respect, then you too will be relegated to something of the past and thrown out and considered as some garbage for the next new fad that will be sadder than what you were because it won't even be informed with what you had. You know what I'm saying?